In the 50 or so years since that sunny afternoon in Dallas, the assassination of John F. Kennedy has become fuel for 1,000 wild conspiracy theories, books, movies and TV shows, all trying to piece together what really happened that day and why. But what people tend to forget about is what became of the men who tried and failed to protect their president that day, the impact it had on their lives, and whether they might one day redeem themselves. Well, as it happens, the 1993 thriller In the Line of Fire does exactly that. The movie stars an aging Clint Eastwood as Frank Horrigan, the last remaining Secret Service agent from Kennedy's protective detail, brought back into the fold to help stop a rogue CIA assassin who's planning to kill the current president, a man who seems to know a lot more about Frank than he should. In the Line of Fire is a brilliantly tense, perfectly paced thriller in its own right, starring two actors at the top of their game, but it's also a perfect example of the more thoughtful, reflective kind of movies that Eastwood started focusing on in his later career. When the movie kicks off, Frank's working as an undercover agent to take down a counterfeiting syndicate, and straight away you can tell that this guy doesn't fuck around. When a fellow agent's cover gets blown, Frank's willing to shoot him to prove his own credibility with the group.
Yes, Frank. That's what I'm looking for.
Anyway, away from his life as a Secret Service agent, Frank's kind of a sad loner, divorced, drinking too much, and haunted by his failure to protect Kennedy 30 years earlier. But when he uncovers evidence of an assassination plot against the current president, he petitions his superiors to be put on the case, determined not to lose another president's. But as it turns out, his opponent is just as determined to take the man down. But why? What exactly is driving him, and what's he really hoping to achieve with all of this? The closer Frank gets to his target, the harder the man tests him, taunting him over the phone about his past failures and forcing him to question whether he really has the guts to take a bullet for someone else. At one point, he even toys with an exhausted and sick Frank during a presidential campaign rally, spooking him into a humiliating evacuation that gets him dismissed from the protective detail. It's clear that Frank's age and past demons are working against him, and that his opponent is leading him on just enough to keep him in the race, always managing to stay one step ahead. The movie encourages you to question whether Frank even deserves to stop him. At one point, after a failed rooftop shootout gets a fellow agent killed, Frank has the chance to shoot his enemy at the cost of his own life, but he can't bring himself to pull the trigger. A very human instinct for self-preservation, but it's completely at odds with his entire purpose as a presidential bodyguard. The encounter doesn't just cause Frank to doubt himself, it causes the audience to doubt him. And it's only once he's faced his demons and finally acknowledged his past mistakes that he's able to get his head back in the game. But will it be too late? In the Line of Fire features your usual selection of chase scenes, shootouts, and a tense race against time to put together the clues before the assassin strikes. But it's in the quieter, more reflective moments that the movie really comes into its own. This isn't just a film about guys waving guns at each other, it's a deeper exploration of their characters, their opposing personalities and experiences. There's nothing better than watching two great actors go at each other, and Clint Eastwood and John Malkovich are a perfect example. Most of their interactions are done over the phone, but every one of these conversations is a gripping battle of wits and wills, as the two men verbally spar with each other, looking for weaknesses or clues about their next moves. At first they're cool and professional, with Frank trying to tease out little bits of information and the other man easily evading him. Then they become increasingly heated and personal as they learn more and begin to push each other's buttons. Then at last they achieve a kind of reluctant bond over their shared experiences, acknowledging that in their own way they've both been screwed over in their lives.
The same government that trained me to kill trained you to protect. Yet now you want to kill me while up on that roof I protected you.
Two enemies with more in common than one of them would like to admit, each demonstrating a grudging respect for each other before the ends. John Malkovich is absolutely brilliant as the assassin, a man with many names and just as many identities, able to change his whole appearance and personality from one scene to the next, and bluff his way through almost any situation. It's pretty cool to watch how easily he manipulates and charms people into doing what he wants. Only on the phone with Frank is he able to drop the act and allow his true personality to come through. An embittered man pushed to breaking point by an uncaring government, now set on taking revenge at the cost of his own life.
Do you have any idea what I've done for God and country? Some pretty fucking horrible things.
Much as Clint Eastwood forged his career doing spaghetti westerns and action movies, he earned most of his critical respect in his later years playing older, troubled, world-weary characters forced to pull themselves together for one last adventure. Men wrestling with a lifetime of cares and regrets, facing their inner fears, and ultimately redeeming themselves by the end. And just like so many of those classic archetypes, the ending of this film shows Frank metaphorically riding off into the sunset, a fulfilled man finally at peace with himself, his long career and troubled legacy behind him. And damned if I didn't enjoy the hell out of it. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.